Internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. This is On the Block with Strick and Bach. Nebraska Basketball Hall of Famer and 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland.
Strickland for three! He's going to go out of here as the Big 8 tournament champion.
93.7 The Ticket veteran and Bill Callahan fan club president, Jake Bakoven.
I love Billy Steve.
Coming at you live from the Koppel Chevrolet GMC studios in the heart of Lincoln, America. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Sponsored by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. This is On the Block with Strick and Bach. Hold up.
We are back at it in another month now, the month of July. It's July 5th on a Tuesday. We got a little bit of a celebration time on July 4th, but we're back here on the block. Strick, do you think that July 5th maybe should be more of the national holiday where we're all recovering? People are staying up late, blowing up fireworks until 12. You can't go to bed. Maybe July 5th, at least a half day?
I mean, that was the crazy thing about it. I mean, they were just really just going nuts.
Yeah.
I think in some cities it was just a constant. Some people probably couldn't get to sleep at all, but I think it was a beautiful thing, man. Just to see families and friends and neighborhoods, and I mean, it was. I think it was beautiful to see, to be able to just ride and just to see the people coming together and enjoying that fellowship, especially after being tied down for probably the last few years, and just really being able to do that. I thought it was good.
Yeah, and it is weird. I was just kind of thinking about it last night or yesterday. I was just kind of like doing some, just poppers or whatever in the backyard, or blackjacks, whatever they're. In any case, I thought it was kind of weird. It's like, yeah, there's just a few days in the year where we're just allowed to let off explosives wherever we want to.
Yeah,
it's kind of strange when you kind of think about it. But
some people go all in. I mean, some people
know.
go $5,000, $8,000, $7,000 worth of stuff, and they just get to going. But yeah, it looked like you had to kind of figure out if this was an in-house. Like, you could tell probably the ones that were kind of in-house, they were just kind of, But then there were some that were in-house, but they were just boom, boom. They were just real, solid. But I was like, that can't be anywhere particular. But yeah, man, I thought it was awesome, man, to ride downtown.
Sorry to interrupt. The Spurs just claimed Isaiah Roby off of waivers.
Oh, did they really? Awesome.
Good info.
Yeah, we were waiting to see where that would land, because he was released by the Thunder over the weekend. And it's kind of weird because it was like the Thunder have like so many first round draft picks coming around the corner. They've got all these projects on the roster, but he had his best year by far, and he played a considerable amount for the Thunder. So it was kind of a surprise. I know, just kind of digging through Twitter, everybody has different feelings. Some Thunder fans were like, thank God. Other Thunder fans were like, I really wanted to keep that guy. But I wondered how long it's going to take him to get picked up. That should help him. Obviously, playing under Greg Popovich is going to be very cool. Maybe can help his development a little bit. Not necessarily. I was kind of hoping for him to land with a contender, though. The Spurs aren't necessarily in that position.
No, but sometimes that bodes well for you, right? When you're still kind of in that mid-range to low range, about people still trying to figure out what your style of play is, how you can be effective, where you can be effective. Going to a team like that, especially losing DeJounte Murray.
Yeah.
DeJounte Murray and just opening up, because really they don't know who they're going to go to. They don't know who's going to be, faced with. They're rebuilding in a sense for themselves. They wanted to kind of unload, didn't want to have to pay him the bag that was probably going to be due him. So they're really just kind of looking for a cheap version of a player to emerge and be able to do something for the organization without having to have put forth such money into that specific player. They probably, in a sense, and they're really good about this, they're probably in a sense looking at some potential upsides with diversity in his style of play, different things like that. I mean, just really think about it. I mean, nobody really thought Kawhi Leonard would be what Kawhi Leonard is. He gets into a good system like that. If Roby can be a third or fourth option, I think that would bode well for him, potentially landing a longer term deal. that's kind of the way I view it right now. Just take the opportunity and just really go in great shape, extended range continuously. Maybe even work on your slashing and just some scoring things, some great counters. Come back this next year with another part or additions to your bag, and he could be okay.
Yeah, and for what Roby did last year with the Thunder, he averaged 10.1 points per game, almost 5 rebounds per game, 44% shooting from beyond the arc, 51 overall, when 21 minutes per game last season. So still kind of in a backup role, but really putting up some good numbers there. Again, it's always hard to tell because with the Thunder, they don't even have like consistent lineups because they're not really trying to win a certain amount of games or get to the playoffs or anything. They're just kind of in this whole rebuilding process. And so he would kind of get frozen out of the lineup at times because they wanted to try some other guys out and maybe just kind of, I think just got lost among the projects that was there in Oklahoma City, and you can't keep them all, but it's cool to see him go to the Spurs. Maybe we'll compete with Doug McDermott now as far as getting some playing time there. We'll see maybe, a stretch forward type of situation for both those guys. When I was thinking about Roby the other day too, it's like I was trying to think of the best dunkers because I think Trey McGowan's, I don't know if he's going to go down as one of the best Nebraska basketball players that we've seen as of recently, but he definitely belongs on the best dunkers list, one of the guys with the most explosiveness. And so I'd put him right up there with Roby as I'm kind of thinking over the last 20 years or whatever. Who was that guy on your team? Were you that guy? Were you the guy with the explosiveness, or who was kind of the best dunker in your era at Nebraska?
Probably on my team, I was one of the more explosive guys, more power type of guys. Whenever I went, I was trying to let the rim and everybody in there know that, if I like I just love, one of the things I loved is when we played Oklahoma State and everybody was raving about Brooks Thompson. And, I just put the press to him and ripped him a couple times at midcourt, go down and dunk, one two-hand forward and then two-hand backward. I that was, one of my things. I think if you watch some of my highlight tapes, it's going to be something hard. Mikey Moore was that guy.
Yeah.
I think for us, when you talk about dynamic, we'll put you in a poster and you wouldn't think it because he was so slim.
Mm-hmm.
But he ran like a deer, and Mikey caught a lot of bodies. So I would say probably Mikey was one of the more dynamic guys on our team.
Do you have just kind of a running list or any other guys maybe outside of your area that you would put on the best dunkers of Nebraska history? Again, it doesn't have to be the best players, but the guys that just went up and put on a show, because there were times in the last 25 years or two where I'm not sure if there was, 3 guys that could really dunk an in-game dunk. Larry
Florence.
There's times where it came. Yeah, Larry Florence could definitely throw down.
Florence was one of those guys. I'm sure I didn't really get to see Cookie too much, but I think Cookie was in there. Maybe Palmer.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I definitely would probably say Bryce has got to be up there in the top. Don't slip on. I mean, I'm not Bryce, but Trey.
Yeah.
I think Trey's got to be in the top, 3 half of that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I think he will. I mean, that's what I'll remember about his game more than anything is that if he went to the rim, he was jumping from the free throw line. It seems like at times, or a foot inside the free throw line to absolutely throw it down. And I think that that kind of that dog fight, that mentality in him is why you project him to maybe do well in summer league and maybe have a chance. He's one of those guys that just kind of reminds me, and you can tell me if I'm wrong here. I know he only averaged like 6'5" and 3 or whatever it was. Or, I mean, it wasn't an outstanding statistical number for him, but he's the type of guy that could seemingly average 6'4" and 3 at any level. Like his athleticism wouldn't prevent him from not being able to do that at the NBA level. Do you perceive like that he could do something like that?
I mean, I think with the spacing of the day, the way he plays defense, getting into passing lanes that he would be able to do in the NBA, he would get at least 8 points just off of, defensive opportunities, just playing the passing and getting out in the break. The way that he runs, he gets out in the open court, not field, but in the open court, he can be trouble in the open court. I would more so say running out as opposed to handling. I think he gets himself more into trouble handling in
Right.
open court than he does. But in a steal situation where he's going to be a one-on-one, one-on-two, yeah, I think he can get an easy 8. And then his athleticism will allow him to get a couple maybe rebounds, maybe a couple putbacks, a couple even dunks. He could average 10 points in the NBA just with defense. I mean, that's the way I looked at it. I figured, in some of my better years, I can easily average 10 to 15 points just because of defense and free throws. Because getting stops, getting steals where I'm able to attack the basket and get to the free throw line. I'm an 83 plus shooter. I just figure, I can get there. Definitely with time, you can definitely do it. I mean, our game was so much different than now,
Right.
but because there were times if we didn't have it, we're waiting on the big guy, the post or whatever play, we were setting something up. So now, shoot, they're getting shots off in 18 seconds, 14 seconds, whereas we're probably taking it down under 10.
Is there part of you that would like to play in the open?
That was my style. There's no question.
Yeah,
Bach. I mean, that was my style of play. Me and Rob Pack, those us type of players. That's our style, and it would have been fun to play that style of play.
Yeah.
No question.
It would take away your. The only thing that would take away is your aggressiveness on defense. You might have to dial it back until the playoffs get, and then you can start playing.
Yeah. Defensively, the style of play is more so team.
Mm-hmm.
It's very much a team aspect because they'll let you get away with moving screens a lot more than back in my time. That just wasn't acceptable. But yeah, that's kind of where we come from in that specific time and age. But other than that, man, guys are pretty good and gifted in using what they allow them to get away with.
Oh yeah.
To take advantage of it.
If you guys have any other guys that we were kind of talking about the best dunkers that you've seen in a Nebraska basketball uniform, let us know on the Starter Heyman text line 402-464-5685. Sten throws in Doganduro. Ola Doganduro could get up there. Palmer and Bryce and Trey. And then an anonymous Cubs fan throws in Vincent Hamilton. Hands down, was a pretty good dunker in his.
Yeah, I would say Vince was just smooth. He. Like I'm saying, Mikey would, Mikey would put you in the rim. Vince would do it, but he wouldn't do it like trying to put you in the rim. He would just do it just because he was long. He would extend and turn it and bang on you, but he was just so smooth and cool about it. Vince was like that when he done. But Mikey would put you in the rim.
My apologies for Doganduro too. I said Ola Doganduro. That was the defensive tackle. Ade Doganduro was the basketball player. Really good one here at Nebraska for a little bit. Kirk from Georgia says, I got to see Strick dunk a backdoor alley-oop at the rec center. Thank God I did not have to guard him. So I'm sure there are a few rec center stories from you guys playing back in the day. Aaron says Carl Hayes.
Sko.
One of his
Sko
was
solid.
ones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so thanks for guys commenting on that as we're opening up the show today. We weren't really planning for it, but a little bit of Isaiah Roby news as he signs with the Spurs, so that's good moving forward for the one of the few Nebraska basketball players now in the NBA, but it's growing a little bit. Unfortunately for the Nebraska basketball program, the wins aren't coming along with it, so maybe we can kind of dive into that a little bit later too. I did want to hit on the news of the day as well for Nebraska football. They land their highest rated commit of the class so far in Omarion Miller, a 4-star wide receiver from Louisiana. So no surprise there. Sounds like Mickey Joseph is continuing that fight.
He's hot like the block.
Yeah.
He's hot. He's on roll. He's on a roll. And I think what he's doing, man, I think it's great in what he's doing because he's just creating so much depth that he understands that it's very possible that he may lose some in the meantime, in between time. And so if you have so much depth and so much competition that you're still going to have, some valuable pieces in that room once it all starts to the room starts to clear, just the smoke starts to clear and people starts to the pressure begins to burst pipes, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It seems like the wide receiver room especially has been hit with a lot of turnover at Nebraska with Scott Frost and even into the past before that. So, I definitely expect to see that moving forward as well. For what it's worth, they Nebraska football program, you might have noticed over the weekend, also grabbed Barry Jackson, a 3-star wide receiver from Georgia, more of a slot type
guy.
of wide receiver.
Mhm.
So it's also important to get the two different types, and that's why you like the big-bodied Omarion Miller. He's a guy that's like a top 100 by some sites. Most sites have him at least in his top 150. So, like I said, I mean, he's the leader of the group for Nebraska so far, and we're all still kind of waiting for Malachi Coleman, who I saw I think accepted an invitation to an All-Star game. So he might wait to announce by then. Just because that's always fun to do too. But he seems like a strong lean toward Nebraska. It'd be pretty surprising to see him go the other way. And it just continues to show what Mickey Joseph has going there. It makes you wonder too, what they're selling, what's the total package they're selling. There's a lot to dive through there through Mickey Joseph's history, obviously, along with Mark Whipple. But I've said it before, and I'll continue to kind of think it. I know that they've got some running backs in the room that they like. I know they prefer, like anybody would, to get a running game going a little bit, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see quite a pass-happy attack this year from the Huskers as they maybe set this thing up moving forward too.
I mean, a lot of it's going to depend on what the line play is, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, losing, Nui, you know what I'm saying, is a tremendous hurt to the front line because he was going to be one of the mainstays. Let's just be real about it. I think if they can get Corcoran off the outside and move him in, I think that could be valuable for him because I think he'd probably be better on the inside because he was atrocious on the outside. So it's just going to be a matter of, we don't know. That's really still, I think that's probably the most uncertain area in Nebraska football coffers for this upcoming year is what the line's going to be like. So I would venture to say if they're able to move people, you'll see some run. You'll see some heavy run with some great pass, play actions and stuff like that will open up some lanes for a lot of those receivers to do some work, some drags and some, just some crossings, a lot of things that will open up behind those linebackers that they want, right? If you don't have to worry about that and they're able to get pressures off forward, then it puts pressure for your wide receivers to be good at creating space. So I think a strong run game could be something that if they're able to get movement up front, they're going to go with it. I think they're going to run it, and they're going to run it down your throat, and then they're going to deep ball play action play you with some great underneath actions. I think that's what you'll see. But other than that, you're going to see probably very pass heavy stuff. If their pass protections are way better than their run game, you'll probably see it. So I think that's going to be the determining factor of what that line does.
Yeah, and it's interesting too because the line historically at Nebraska has kind of played up and down to competition since the Pipeline days, which is to be expected considering where they recruited. I always thought Nebraska's lines kind of through the Pelini era, through the Callahan era, there were some troublesome seasons here and there, but for the most part was, kind of a B+ line, always kind of, once you played the Oklahomas or the Texases or the Ohio States or whatever, it wouldn't hold up as well against the better athletes, but against the other, the other teams, the Big 12 North, and at times, probably not the Big 10 West because the last 5 years have been kind of bad, but at times just kind of being able to roll over those teams. And so that's kind of what I see maybe against the Northwestern to open up the season is maybe a lot heavier of a run attack than we'll see throughout the season, just based on the kind of movement you're getting in those games. You always got to adjust the game.
They're going to want to test it. They're going to want to test it to see. They're going to have those first 3 games to really test, because if you can't move, probably the line of Northwestern is going to be more athletic, probably more speedy, than the bulky lines that you'll probably see later in the division. If you can't move these first 3, then you're heavy pass. I mean, it's going to be very evident what you're going to be trying to do at that point, because that's going to be a determinant. If you dominate those first 3, it's going to open up, because it's going to create when the other teams begin to do the work to try to figure out and game plan for you in the upcoming games, they're going to be looking at heavy runs, which is going to already start with big play opportunities early in the game.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So I would venture to say I'm showing heavy run until you can stop it, but we're going to throw that ball too. We're not going to get behind them. I think they're going to do it where they're not going to get behind the chains. where, first 2 runs and then you're all of a sudden behind the chains with 2nd and 8 or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
I think they'll probably do some passing on the 2nd down, see if they can get some movement. Then you've got, the big running backs that they've got and also the speed guys out the backfield. They'll be able to do some creative things. I think they'll do some wildcat stuff with some others too. I think there's going to be a lot of things in their book that they're going to be able to open up.
Well, it's just crazy because it's hard to pin, know who's going to be the leaders on this team.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't even say it in the wide receiver room. You can make your guesses, but you don't know, especially in the running back room. There's like 4 guys. One of them could break out and be really good. And so it's just kind of that same way on offense where, Mark Whipple likes a heavy dose of his best players. I mean, that's what he does. He tries to get his best players the ball, regardless of position. And it's just really hard at this point to say who those guys are. You don't have a Austin Allen returning or, a big name player that you can say, well, that's obviously the focal point. And then all these other pieces kind of go around it. That's why it's hard for me a little bit to see the run game get going. The traditional run game has obviously struggled. And now I think you just take out a large part of the quarterback running game because Casey Thompson just doesn't have the body size that Adrian did to kind of, bounce those off, and they overran Adrian was the other part of it. They also, kind of got Adrian hurt too many times. Obviously, we saw in the Iowa game, that game plan without Adrian, with Logan Smothers in there, not sustainable over a long period of time. Completely different offense, but I continue to think that I think that there's going to be some games where they really get stuck passing the ball because if their traditional running game gets shut down, they don't have that quarterback threat as much as they have had in the past.
Well, and that's the good thing about having a big wide receiver core, right? You're able to run different types of looks out of that wide. You can go big, you can go possession style, 3rd down and short. You can go with some possession type guys and put them in the slot, big body guys. Move them around a little bit. There's things you can do out of the backfield with Ramir Johnson. There's a lot of different things you can do with the core of guys that they've got right now. You can move Trey around outside to inside to slot to jet to, there's guys like that on their team, with Castaneda as well, that you can do different things like that as well. We don't know what the freshmen are going to do when they come in. We don't know what's going to come out. We don't know what the connections. Is there my interest is there going to be an emergence of an Addison type? Not that he's on that type of level, but I'm saying somebody who is Casey Thompson's like Julian Edelman to Tom Brady.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when I know I need something to get done, I can count on him. Who's that going to be? That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you're going to have 3rd down in situations. You're going to have 3rd down and crucial to move that ball in order to win games. That's how you got to win games. You got to be able to, get that 1st down and move the clock and make it to where, you can pretty much end it without having to worry about the defense. You need to be able to move that ball to be able to keep the defense fresh so that they can run multiple guys out there, because we still don't know what their defensive front line is going to be like on the inside and how much energy they're going to have to be able to, or how many they can rotate in to keep them fresh. So those are a lot of the things that that offense is going to have to do. They've got to be successful on 3rd down, which they were not last year. In some instances, their 3rd down packages to me were bad.
Well, and Adrian too would get locked in on a guy or make a pre-snap judgment
Decision.
with where he was going to go to the ball. Casey, for what it's worth, too, last year had that guy in Xavier Worthy, who's one of the best freshman wide receivers in the nation, now going to be one of the best wide receivers in the nation. So he had that guy that he could lean on at Texas. You wonder if, Trey Palmer or somebody can step up. Omar Manning, big body, can be that guy that, you don't want to make those pre-snap decisions. But even as a coach, as a quarterback, whatever, at certain plays in the game, you want to say, I want to see our best player get a chance at this. Let's win and lose with our best player. And so, if you can design it to have a one-on-one out there and just throw a lob up, that's something we could see there. And Marcus Washington, another guy that maybe could be that guy. He had a bit of a drop problem at Texas, was probably isn't preferred for that, but drops are one thing. You'll see if it can be problematic one year at times during your career and kind of drop off later. So we'll see if he can kind of move past that as well. No shortage of stuff to talk today about here on the block. When we come back, Colin Cowherd had a had a not very nice comment about Nebraska on Twitter over the weekend. Riled some people up. I'll say just get used to it. That's kind of the LA attitude with our new partners over there at UCLA and USC. So we'll talk about that as well as a few other things coming up next year on the block at 93.7 The Ticket.
There's nothing quite like the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese Beef. The Mercado offers unique ingredients you can't find anywhere else, open every day from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The full-service butcher shop and retail store is wonderful for meat lovers with their exclusive Certified Piedmontese Beef and assorted sausages, plus other quality meats, including pork, chicken, and a wide range of the freshest seafood. Plus, every Friday from 11 to 2, the Mercado serves up the best lunch in town on their Friday Feast menu. Stop in at the Mercado today at 84th and Havelock or visit their website at cpmercado.com to see current deals.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by Security First Bank, a relationship you can count on.
A few showers and thunderstorms this morning, then becoming hot. A heat advisory will be in effect this afternoon as well as tomorrow afternoon. We'll top out near 96. It'll feel closer to 100 today. Southwest winds at around 15. A few passing clouds tonight with a low of 75. A high of 98 tomorrow with a chance of late evening thunderstorms. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
You know that feeling after a good, hearty meal? The worries of the world just slip away. Time slows down. Nothing but good times and good company. That's what you get with Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. Mary Ellen's does food right, with a menu that includes smoked wings, pulled pork, brisket, catfish. And don't sleep on their sides, shrimp and grits, collard greens, baked beans. It's food that makes your heart happy. Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul, just east of 27th and Pineland. Let them fix you a plate.
Landmark Implement, your local John Deere dealership, is searching for mechanics of all skill levels to grow with us. Landmark offers a competitive wage, full benefits package, along with paid time off within just 60 days of employment, as well as a 401k and a boot and clothing allowance. Interested in becoming a part of the Landmark difference? Apply now at landmarkimp.com/careers or contact Deanna 402-310-7561 or email careers@landmarkimp.com. That's landmarkimp.com. Landmark Implement is the equal opportunity employer.
This is Dan Friedman. Between 2010 and 2019, distracted driving caused more than 40,000 car crashes in Nebraska, resulting in over 14,000 severe injuries and deaths. Please keep your eyes on the road. If you have a smartphone, put it away while you're behind the wheel. It will help keep our community safe and secure. This message is brought to you by Friedman Law Offices, helping injured people. It's what we do. It's all we do. Find us at friedmanlaw.com today.
Hey, Steve. Welcome to Great Clips.
Great Clips asks, what's the difference between good and great?
Come on back and have a seat.
Good asks you what haircut you'd like.
I have all your details from last time. Would you like the same haircut today?
Great already knows. With Clip Notes, we save your haircut details so you can get the same thing as last time, every time. Download our online check-in app today. Great Clips. It's going to be great.
The weather in Nebraska is unpredictable every day, and that's no fun when you're trying to golf. Double Eagle Golf in West Lincoln is now open to let you play in perfect indoor conditions daily. Double Eagle Golf has 5 simulator bays to hit in, by far the most in Lincoln. It has a fully stocked bar with beers and cocktails for you to enjoy while you play. Double Eagle Golf is open each weekday from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m., so you can start the day there, take a client over lunch, or end the night with friends. Check out Double Eagle Golf today inside the Kinetic Sports Complex on West O Street.
Football season will be here before you know it, and you can get ahead of everyone else with the first annual Evening with the Huskers event at Tavern 180 and Tanner's Bar and Grill. Join 93.7 The Ticket and Husker Online's Sean Callahan for an evening with current Nebraska football players and surprise guests as they preview the season ahead. Enjoy cocktail hour and a delicious Wagyu steak dinner, as well as an open bar for the duration of the event, all for just $199 per person. Click the logo for the event at theticketfm.com to sign up. Don't delay, this will fill up fast. Don't miss your chance to meet and greet with Husker football players at Tanner's Bar and Grill and Tavern 180 in Lincoln at 30th and Yankee Hill. Sign up today at theticketfm.com using the Evening with the Huskers banner. It's an evening with the Huskers to preview the 2022 Nebraska football season at Tavern 180 and Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill. Presented by Husker Online and 93.7 The Ticket.
Work, laundry, dishes. I was exhausted. I needed a vacation, but finding a way to pay for it, not so easy. Then I found it. A research study at Solarion. I searched the studies and found a perfect match for me. It was so easy. I earned cash for the study and booked that vacation. Plus, I made an impact on medical research. Find a study and sign up today at healthresearch.com.
You should consider the risks of the research before you agree to participate.
Get a lot of advice about self-care these days, but one of the most important self-care steps we can take is making sure we're financially secure later in life. For small steps you can take to save for retirement, visit WeSaySaveIt.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
Back to On the Block with Strick and Bach on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Could you imagine a left coast elitist not liking Nebraska, not liking Lincoln? That's what happened again over the weekend. Colin Cowherd, this time in just a response to a tweet, said, seriously, the state of Nebraska has about 2 top recruits annually. Add in lousy weather, boring small town. Other than that, so that's what Colin was replying to somebody asking about USC, UCLA coming over to the Big Ten. Somebody said it was hard for Nebraska, so there's your comparison there. You have any trouble with a big Los Angeles elitist crapping on Lincoln?
I mean, that's what they do.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. They I mean, look, it's like, okay, I guess the best way that I can explain it is like this. There's a lot of good things about it, weather, beaches.
Oh yeah,
but there's a lot of crap about that place as
right.
well, right?
Yeah.
So there's some values sometimes that are not like Midwestern values, right?
Mm-hmm.
So of course that's the way everything East or West Coast, they view Midwesterners. They view you from a like hillbilly-ish mentality type corn-fed. I mean, listen, I lived in California before I moved here, and of course part of that was indoctrinated. What I thought when I was moving here is I don't want to be in the middle of cornfields and all kinds of stuff, but when I got here, it grew on me. You know what I mean? It was like I realized that I appreciated this more than what was out there. And yeah, I don't like the cold sometimes. But other than that, I appreciate just the people and the time and that I've spent and getting to know people and just sitting down and just inviting. I loved everything about it, and it's become a home to me.
Yeah, I mean, there's sure you always have the argument about your small college towns or whatever, but Lincoln's not necessarily in that category. Whenever I tried,
it's almost 400,000 people now.
Well, yeah, and it's it's a state capital that makes it kind of different than other places. I would say between Lincoln and Omaha, you could have some fun. And I think that's probably comparable to LA, where it takes an hour to drive down the block, so an hour's drive is about the same thing here. And so I don't know. I mean, I'm not oblivious to the fact I've been other places. I know there are better places than Lincoln, Nebraska, but I think that it probably doesn't deserve to be belittled and be called boring and small. And I think especially with the way that technology has moved things, like you can't really be too bored anywhere. I understand there's no beaches here, but especially once like legalized, casinos and stuff, and you got your phone, you can watch HBO Max or get on Tinder or whatever you want to, anywhere. So your device, as kind of, I think, eliminated the bore of smaller cities, or that kind of comparison. And like you're saying, LA is great and awesome, and there's always things to do, and I get that, but I would never move there just because of the traffic.
Absolutely.
I just couldn't do it.
I don't like the traffic or the smog. Yeah. The smog is not good either.
The graffiti, a lot of graffiti.
You've got all of that. I mean, look, it's not as glitz and glamour as you ultimately think. For the most part, it is. There are like if you think about what Rodeo Drive is and all of that, it's a freaking block or so. It's not like the way they make it look on TV. Then that's the camera stuff. The way they make it look on TV is that it's this grandioso like area, like like down at the old market. Like the whole thing is the old market, and it's like a block. You know what I'm saying? Like a block and a half.
Yeah.
So, the cameras is what sells the glamour of it.
Yeah, it makes it feel a lot bigger than it is.
Like I've been up in the hills. I've seen all aspects of it, and it's cool, but it's not like what people would think it would be. Let me just say that. I mean, there's a lot of S places down there. You know what I mean?
And they all cost a lot more too to live there.
Listen,
anyway.
bro, my place I had, and I'm gonna be quick. My place I had, it was behind the Getty Center. It was across from Mulholland where Kevin Hart crashed his car.
Okay.
And it was between Westwood and the Valley. So all the cameras, when you see the cameras, like the news cameras where they're showing all the cars kind of going in that was the view I had. Back then. Think about now, and this is in 2000.
Okay.
6,000 a month.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's probably skyrocketed since then too. That's crazy.
And it was only a 2-bedroom townhouse.
Yeah.
It was nice. You know what I'm saying? But listen, yeah.
Well, that's the other thing about the LA elitists too, is that when they tell you, well, I don't understand why anybody doesn't live here. It's like, well, because nobody can afford to. A lot of people. That's like saying, going up to Malibu and be like, why isn't everybody in Malibu? Well, most people can't afford Malibu.
And they don't have a very good public transportation system. They have no trains. They don't have nothing.
Yeah,
so you're having to drive. And I'm telling you, there's certain, if you don't know how to navigate inside the city to go to different places, you would be sitting on the 405, the 101, the 5 for hours.
Yeah.
Like if you didn't know how to navigate, like if I didn't know how to get from my place to the airport where I can kind of take Sepulveda, sometimes dip behind and go through Brentwood, go up through, I mean, you got to stop at stop signs and you got to stop at lights, but you're still moving, you know what I'm saying, towards your destination. You go up through Loyola Marymount, go through the back way, boom, you're at the airport, right? If you didn't know how to do that, you're stuck on the 405 and you miss your flight.
There's my uncle lives out there, and there's like a 3-hour stretch every day where he will just not go. He won't go out because like you said, you'll be stuck out there for hours.
Yeah.
And it's the traffic is just too much.
It's atrocious. It's just
I will say this. I am a bit of a snob when it comes to beaches versus lakes. They do have the beach. Well, there's nothing we can do about that.
Well, and then also like right now, it's hot. It's hot outside. In LA right now, it's probably 81.
Oh yeah.
On the Venice side, the Manhattan Beach side, over on the airport side, it's probably low to mid 80s. You go in the valley though, it's every bit as much as like this. So even though you're there, and most people live in the valley because it's cheaper. So you go in the valley, you're 100 and some degrees. Just that difference of going over the mountain and back changes the whole dynamic. So if you want to live on that side, paperwork you got to come up with. You go into the valley, you still got to deal with this stuff that you're dealing with here. Plus you got to deal with driving and traffic, and then you got to figure out all the way. So it's dynamics to it as well, goods and bads, stuff like that as well.
It'll be fun for visiting out there. I think when
you've already
go to
visited.
the USC or I did, but I'm just saying for others to go out there, and I'm sure a lot of people have been out there for non-football reasons. But it is, I mean, that's the one thing that you could visit there several times a year and not get bored. I would say that's like there is an understanding, right, that there is more of an entertainment aspect out there to where like if you come to Lincoln and Omaha, I could say to people that have never been here, it's fun. There's a few things you could do, but it's not like you would fly in here every few months to.
It's limited. And the sad part is, listen, actually, if because we're kind of behind a little bit, so a lot of stuff gets to us, and then we don't really move on it until a little bit late. That's not a negative. That's just kind of how we move. We kind of watch how things transitions, and then we say, okay, we like that, come on, you know what I mean? That's kind of but one of the ones, and I've actually kind of spurned this out and spit this out to like even some people that work in government. I said one of the best things I think, and he says people are knocking this down, I think it's awesome. One of the best things you could do is to put an airport in the middle between Lincoln and Omaha.
Oh yeah.
Which then you build similar like DFW. then you just build all these areas and nice things around it, and it creates a metroplex, which a connection between Lincoln and Omaha, and then now you're getting spurned growth.
Yeah,
I think that would be because there's nowhere to go for Eppley. Eppley's stuck. It's on the river. Downtown's right there. There's nowhere it can go, right?
Right.
So I'm like, I don't know why. If I was a governor or something like that, I would be petitioning to have airport, because then you're bringing in more money. You're bringing in, more airlines. You're making it good for the business here and the Nebraskans to come in. You're also spurning opportunities to draw more stuff into here, similar to the College World Series, without the headaches of trying to get in here in a smaller. So, this, I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah, maybe something more than because between Lincoln and Omaha, all you've really got is the outlet mall, I suppose. Maybe there's a couple other, destination spots you can stop over. But as far as, like you said, if you kind of build some stuff in between, then that makes that drive a lot less.
But
rough,
think about that development.
Not that it's bad.
Think about think about an airport that's either on the north side of the Platte or the south side. Probably on the northern side, more closer to Omaha.
Right.
Just on the other side of of where the outlets are, right? And it merges up against the Platte, and then you got just a whole bunch of developments along the Platte, fun places, rafting, places, restaurants man, there's so much you can do, bro. But I just don't understand why we don't do it.
Yeah, well.
I'm just, any up and coming young high schoolers that's going to be running for governor, man, you might want to think about what Strickland just said right now.
And give him credit, by the way, when this all comes together. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, it is time for Shootout with Strick. Your chance to win $15 to Buffalo Wings and Rings. Give us a call. Only the first person in line will get to play. So 402-464-5685. If you're feeling like a winner today, try to take down Strick and Shootout with Strick. Coming up next year on The Block on 93.7 The Ticket.
Work, laundry, dishes. I was exhausted. I needed a vacation, but finding a way to pay for it, not so easy. Then I found it. A research study at Solarion. I searched the studies and found a perfect match for me. It was so easy. I earned cash for the study and booked that vacation. Plus, I made an impact on medical research. Find a study and sign up today at helpresearch.com.
You should consider the risks of the research before you agree to participate.
James Enterprise Incorporated, that company that hauls your gravel, rocks, and material for your farm or construction site, says thank you to the people of the healthcare community for putting yourself in the way of danger to save the public. That is what it means to be a hero and to build a beautiful legacy. This message brought to you by James Enterprise Incorporated. For all your hauling of rock, gravel, and materials, call them at 402-432-6740. That's 402-432-6740.
Eustace Body Shop, where our customers send their friends. That's the greatest compliment we can receive. If you've been in an accident, we'll get you back in your vehicle as quickly as possible. Our technicians care about you and your family and repair your vehicle to factory standards. We handle your claim from start to finish and provide a free loaner car. Stop by for a free estimate. Eustace Body Shop, just south of 88th and Highway 2.
The most recommended Eustace Body Shop. That's who we are.
Landmark Implement, your local John Deere dealership, is searching for mechanics of all skill levels to grow with us. Landmark offers a competitive wage, full benefits package, along with paid time off within just 60 days of employment, as well as a 401k and a boot and clothing allowance. Interested in becoming a part of the Landmark difference? Apply now at landmarkimp.com/careers or contact Deanna 402-310-7561 or email careers@landmarkimp.com. That's landmarkimp.com. Landmark Implement is the equal opportunity employer.
People always ask, what are Jake and Sip like when they're off the air? Well, the answer probably won't surprise you.
Hey, Jake, your Honda's looking a little dirty.
Says the guy whose license plate is barely visible.
I mean, do you even care about that thing anymore?
It gets a little uncomfortable. Now, that's when I jump in.
Hey, whoa. Mark, did you get a new car?
Nope, just took my car down to Nebraska Auto Detail. Joe and the staff made the outside and the inside look amazing. Maybe you guys need to go.
Okay, wise guy.
Settle down, Jake.
Call Nebraska Auto Detail today at 402-601-5086.
Hey, Steve. Welcome to Great Clips.
Great Clips asks, what's the difference between good and great?
Come on back and have a seat.
Good asks you what haircut you'd like.
I have all your details from last time. Would you like the same haircut today?
Great already knows. With Clip Notes, we save your haircut details so you can get the same thing as last time, every time. Download our online check-in app today. Great Clips. It's gonna be great.
Bagels & Joe is in full summer mode. They'll add cold foam to the top of any iced coffee. Plus, they now have a Joe Coffee Club. Get unlimited drip coffee for just $8.95 per month. And don't forget their delicious breakfast burritos and sandwiches. Bagels & Joe, 4 Lincoln locations.
Hey, Mom. Yeah, I got in a crash. I'm okay. I was wearing my seatbelt.
People count on you to buckle up.
Click it or ticket. Brought to you by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. It's soul food right here in Lincoln. Ribs, wings, catfish, coleslaw, cornbread, grits. I mean, I'd say it's food like your grandma used to make, but my grandma never made food like that. If you haven't already, you've got to give it a try. Check out their location across from South Point at 27th and Pine Lake, or find their food truck at events all over town, or visit them online at maryellens.com to see the full menu. Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. Let them fix you a plate.
This is Dan Friedman. Between 2010 and 2019, distracted driving caused more than 40,000 car crashes in Nebraska, resulting in over 14,000 severe injuries and deaths. Please keep your eyes on the road. If you have a smartphone, put it away while you're behind the wheel. It will help keep our community safe and secure. This message is brought to you by Friedman Law Offices, helping injured people. It's what we do. It's all we do. Find us at friedmanlaw.com today.
Hi, I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you prevent wildfires.
Dude, I've got this. I've been camping since I was 5 years old. But I am a camping influencer. You know what? I'll bet you $5. Assistant Smokey, what is the best way to put out a campfire?
To put out a campfire, drown with water, stir, drown again. Then make sure the fire is out cold by feeling with the back of your hand.
Wait, really?
I'll take the $5.
Learn more at SmokeyBear.com.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
It's time to play Shootout with Strick. Call now, 464-5685, to take your shot against Eric Strickland. Shootout with Strick. Brought to you by Buffalo Wings and Rings.
Time to play the game!
It is time to play Shootout with Strick here on the block on 93.7 The Ticket, our daily giveaway of $15 to Buffalo Wings and Rings. But you got to earn it. You got to beat Strick. He's got the air guitar going. He's been warming up here in the studio. Hopefully Neil has as well. Neil is our contestant today on the Starter Heyman text line. Excuse me, not the text line, the Hunt of Lincoln hotline, 402-464-5685. Neil, how do you feel about Major League Baseball All-Star voting? That's the topic today.
I guess it's mostly it's either or, so I got a chance. I'm not a big baseball guy.
Yeah,
me neither.
Yeah. Strick got a chance to play baseball, and he looked the other way.
But there's some Buffalo Wings and Rings on the line. Let's go.
So it's a big battle. $15 worth of Buffalo Wings and Rings on.
Do
the
I get to
line
eat
here.
this time? Do I get to eat the chicken this time? Do I get to steal it from
you? Want to
Neil?
win? You want to win and not give it away?
No, I
to
play
caller
for
number
the people.
3?
I play for the
You
people.
still play for the people. Okay. We'll start in 3 seconds here. You ready, Strick?
Let's get it.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. This Cubs player leads all National League catchers in All-Star voting. Wilson Contreras or Gary Sanchez?
Contreras.
That's correct. This is the only Astros infielder to lead his position in voting. Carlos Correa or Jose Altuve?
Tuve.
That's correct. This is the only Guardians player to lead a position in voting. Francisco Lindor or Jose Ramirez?
Lindor.
That's actually Ramirez. He leads American League in first baseman in votes. Vlad Jr. or Anthony Rizzo?
Vlad.
It is Vlad. And for the money ball, this Yankee outfielder leads all Major League Baseball in all-star votes.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
That's going to be the buzzer there. You
No. I don't know.
Time
That
has
stumped me.
passed. His name's Aaron Judge.
Oh my gosh. I couldn't. I knew that.
Just couldn't place it.
I couldn't just pull the trigger on it.
Yeah, so 3 points. So that's a pretty good showing. We'll see if Neil can top you. Neil, are you ready to go?
Ready to go.
All right, we'll go in 3, 2, and 1. This Padres player leads all third basemen in All-Star voting. Jose Ramirez or Manny Machado?
Manny Machado.
That is correct. This team has the most players leading their positions in All-Star votes. Red Sox or Blue Jays?
Blue Jays.
That is correct. This Phillies star leads the vote for designated hitter. Kyle Schwarber or Bryce Harper?
Bryce Harper.
That is correct. This Angels outfielder is behind Aaron Judge in total votes. Mike Trout or Shohei Ohtani?
Ohtani.
It's actually Trout, and this Dodgers outfielder leads the National League in total votes.
No.
Oh, it looks like the buzzer sounded. You did get 3 points, so you tied Strick there. Mookie Betts, were you close to landing on Mookie Betts?
Mookie?
No, I did not.
No.
I should have known that because I at least know that guy, but I wasn't there.
Yeah, it's tough. But that means we go to the tiebreaker. So we'll just have kind of an over-under after Strick gives his answer. Strick, the Blue Jays fans have taken over All-Star voting. How many of their players lead voting at their position?
3.
Well, gosh darn it, Strick, you just kind of ruined it there. You got it right on the nail, right on the head there. 3 Blue Jays players making Strick the winner. Sorry, Neil. Strick's got an evil laugh going there. But that's all right. Thanks for calling in and playing today. And remember, you have not lost quite yet, Neil, because now that Strick has won, caller number 3, including Neil, can win $15 to Buffalo Wings and Rings. Call right now, 402-464-5685. So somebody, one of the people, can win base off of Strick's win today. And Strick, besides that evil laugh, you've also got some shout outs here.
Finish him. Flawless victory.
As you did nail it right on the head there. 3 Blue Jays players are leading the All-Star voting. You big MLB All-Star guy? You gonna watch the game?
No,
not really. Not into
No,
it?
I still think they need to add some spice to it, man. The best part of it is the home run derby.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I still like the home run derby.
I still like the home run derby. I think they just need to add some spice to it. I mean, they try to do some things that, you get the home court event or home field advantage.
I like
that.
that.
I like that too, but
Didn't make sense.
I think they should put some money on it. I mean, start putting some money on it, bro. Make them really just get after it. That's the way I feel about it.
I think they do. Don't they have like the MVP? Maybe that's the World Series. Gets like a nice truck that's like out on the field afterwards.
Yeah, man, give them some. Put the money on it. If you lose, you get nothing. You know what I mean? If you win, everybody on the team gets $100K. Or something like that. Let's put some money on it.
Well, and then just make it more
nothing.
Because right now it's just like everybody gets to play. Make sure everybody and it's just like boo. We don't want to see everybody play. We want to see the best of the best play. We'll take a quick break here on the block as we wrap up the 4 o'clock hour. 5 o'clock hour coming up next. Lots to break down there as college football's landscape is obviously changing quite a bit. So we'll check in on the conferences and kind of see what the latest news is there amongst all of them. Everybody seems to be just kind of waiting for Notre Dame, but some conferences aren't just waiting around. They're actually kind of taking some initiative to try to keep their hopes alive. So we'll break that down as well as much more coming up next year on the block on 93.7 The Ticket.
There's nothing quite like the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese beef. The Mercado offers unique ingredients you can't find anywhere else, open every day from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The full-service butcher shop and retail store is wonderful for meat lovers with their exclusive certified Piedmontese beef and assorted sausages, plus other quality meats, including pork, chicken, and a wide range of the freshest seafood. Plus, every Friday from 11 to 2, the Mercado serves up the best lunch in town on their Friday Feast menu. Stop in at the Mercado today at 84th and Havelock or visit their website at cpmercado.com to see current deals.
Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. It's soul food right here in Lincoln. Ribs, wings, catfish, coleslaw, cornbread, grits. I mean, I'd say it's food like your grandma used to make, but my grandma never made food like that. If you haven't already, you've got to give it a try. Check out their location across from South Point at 27th and Pine Lake, or find their food truck at events all over town, or visit them online at maryellens.com to see the full menu. Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. Let them fix you a plate. Football season will be here before you know it, and you can get ahead of everyone else with the first annual Evening with the Huskers event at Tavern 180 and Tanner's Bar and Grill. Join 93.7 The Ticket and Husker Online's Sean Callahan for an evening with current Nebraska football players and surprise guests as they preview the season ahead. Enjoy cocktail hour and a delicious Wagyu steak dinner, as well as an open bar for the duration of the event, all for just $199 per person. Click the logo for the event at theticketfm.com to sign up. Don't delay, this will fill up fast. Don't miss your chance to meet and greet with Husker football players at Tanner's Bar and Grill and Tavern 180 in Lincoln at 30th and Yankee Hill. Sign up today at theticketfm.com using the Evening with the Huskers banner. It's an evening with the Huskers to preview the 2022 Nebraska football season at Tavern 180 and Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill. Presented by Husker Online and 93.7 The Ticket.
The 2022 Nebraska football season is right around the corner, and we need you in Memorial Stadium this fall. A customizable Husker football 3-game mini plan is on sale now for only $180. To purchase your 2022 Husker football 3-game mini plan today, or for more information, visit huskers.com/tickets or call 402-472-3111. Go Big Red.
Hey, Steve. Welcome to Great Clips.
Great Clips asks, what's the difference between good and great?
Come on back and have a seat.
Good asks you what haircut you'd like.
I have all your details from last time. Would you like the same haircut today?
Great already knows. With Clip Notes, we save your haircut details so you can get the same thing as last time, every time. Download our online check-in app today. Great Clips. It's gonna be great.
People always ask, what are Jake and Sip like when they're off the air? Well, the answer probably won't surprise you.
Hey, Jake, your Honda's looking a little dirty.
Says the guy whose license plate is barely visible.
I mean, do you even care about that thing anymore?
It gets a little uncomfortable. Now, that's when I jump in.
Hey, whoa. Mark, did you get a new car?
Nope, just took my car down to Nebraska Auto Detail. Joe and the staff made the outside and the inside look amazing. Maybe you guys need to go.
Okay, wise guy.
Settle down, Jake.
Call Nebraska Auto Detail today at 402-601-5086.
Landmark Implement, your local John Deere dealership, is searching for mechanics of all skill levels to grow with us. Landmark offers a competitive wage, full benefits package, along with paid time off within just 60 days of employment, as well as a 401k and a boot and clothing allowance. Interested in becoming a part of the Landmark difference? Apply now at landmarkimp.com/careers or contact Deanna 402-310-7561 or email careers@landmarkimp.com. That's landmarkimp.com. Landmark Implement is an equal opportunity employer.
Hey, Mom. Yeah, I got in a crash. I'm okay. I was wearing my seatbelt.
People count on you to buckle up.
Click it or ticket. Brought to you by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Early break with Sip and Jake.
Gus brought up an interesting topic during Song of the Day about 2000s dad rock. We were trying to just find some bands because he said Three Doors Down reminds him of like dad rock from the 2000s. Okay, Pork Chop says Papa Roach. That's dad rock. Yeah. That's good.
Yeah,
that's
divorced dad rock.
Yeah. Buck Cherry also divorced dad rock.
That's divorced dad rock went to a younger model.
Early break with Sip and Jake from 6 to 8 every weekday morning.
Victor deployed for the first time to Afghanistan in 2003. At 4 a.m, my phone rang. They said, "I regret to inform you that your husband was wounded in action." Victor sustained a moderate traumatic brain injury. I was doing school full-time, and I was also then caring for Victor. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself. I just didn't want to forget that I also had goals and that I also had a life. What I did is I challenged Victor to meet me halfway. There are almost 6 million military and veteran caregivers across the nation. We have our own journey, and we can fulfill that journey at the same time that we are helping our loved one.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey and better care for your loved one and yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. This is On the Block with Strick and Bach. Nebraska Basketball Hall of Famer and 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland.
Strickland for three. And you're going to go out of here as the Big 8 tournament champion.
93.7 The Ticket veteran and Ortega connoisseur, Jake Bakoven.
I like Ortega, and I like Pepper.
Coming at you live from the Coppel Chevrolet GMC studios in the heart of Lincoln, America. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Sponsored by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. This is On the Block with Strick and Bach.
On block. On the block. You're on the block. Welcome to On the Block. Yeah, we're here today. Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining again. Once again, On the Block with Strick and Bach, 4 to 6 every day, Monday through Friday, except yesterday because it was Independence Day. So everybody was off yesterday. But listen, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the other conferences and kind of what's happening out there in the landscape of college football and all sports included. But we've got some good news, something breaking on the block. Bach, tell us about what's breaking on the block.
Yeah, well, it's already been a successful day for Nebraska recruiting as they grabbed Omarion Miller, the 4-star wide receiver from Louisiana earlier today. Well, it continues with Dylan Rogers, a middle linebacker out of Texas, has made it official that he is committed to Nebraska as well. 6'3", 232 out of Cypress, Texas for the class of 2023. Looks like I'm on 24/7 here. They have him as around the 706th best player in the nation, 130th best player coming out of Texas. Either way, it's good to get back into Texas for Nebraska and to continue with impressive recruiting. Of course, it's maybe a little overshadowed by Omarion Miller, who's the top-ranked player in the class now, committing to Nebraska today. But either way, any day you can get two of them is pretty good. And Barry Jackson committed over the weekend as well. So that's been very successful over the last week or so.
Some great news. This is some great news for Husker football. And we'd like to continue that landscape continuously throughout all sports right now. But the Husker football right now is hot. They're landing everything they need and everything they want. And that's a good thing. I don't think there's too many that has gotten out of the grasp of the Husker recruiting bandwidth, but I think that's positive. I think that's positive news. It's good to hear. But one of the things I want to talk about right now, Boxster, on the block, is the Pac-12. What we found is the Pac-12 is seeking media rights deal. They're one of the first ones of the conferences to come to they'll pretty much close out their deal. I think it closes out in 2023. So ultimately it asks and it bodes the question of, does the conference have an opportunity, being that they're first to market, in order to give themselves a chance to get ahead of everything, even though they just lost two of their stapletons in the conference, in USC and UCLA, to the Big Ten? So my question I want to throw out to Bach, plus I want to also put it out on the Starter Heyman text line, and I also think we may take a call in this specific instance because it's a pretty deep question, and that question is, which one of the conferences has the best opportunity of surviving outside of the Big Two? Who's going to basically, right now, what I'm witnessing and what I'm seeing is there's a purge going on. It's the CFB purge. And I wish I had the music right now, the siren going off, because right now there is a purge going on, and the Pac-12 is trying to get ahead of it by a media rights deal, and the Big 12 hasn't made any moves yet, but it looks like the Big 12 is trying to do some things behind the scenes to get ahead of this, and we'll talk about that as well. So, but I want to hear from you, Bach. And also on the Starter Heyman text line, which conference do you think has the best chance of surviving the purge? And that is the Pac-12, the ACC, or the Big 12. Who is going to emerge as that third tier as it begins to drop off? We already see possibilities of the Big 12 maybe looking to purge the WAC Is it the WAC?
Well, a lot of the Pac-12 remaining teams is who they're going after.
Yeah. So you've got that, and a lot of it seems to be coming from the fact that they're loving the fact that they can get some mountain, time zones.
Yeah,
and they'd
be across. Remember, they have UCF now, so they'd be a coast-to-coast conference as well. I think it's interesting in the timing of all of this. Might ultimately destroy the Pac-12 as we know it. I think there's a possibility that if Oregon and Washington leave, the possibilities. Of course, the other report out today is that Arizona State, Colorado, and Utah are kind of getting courted from the Big 12, as well as Oregon and Washington, if they don't end up going to the Big 10, which would leave Cal, Washington State, Oregon State, and Stanford, interestingly enough, as kind of the remaining teams there. So as I read it right now, I would say that the Pac-12 is going to be purged more than anybody else, only because of timing. There's no, from what I understand, not as significant as this all is about money, obviously, and it's all about the TV deals. There's not a whole lot bigger of a deal between the Pac-12 or the Big 12 can get out there right now, just kind of depending on where these teams land, because there's no big names left. Of course, it'd be a huge coup for them to keep Oregon and Washington, but that's not looking very possible. So the way that I see it is I think that right now I would expect that the Big 12, just based on the reports that we've seen, of course, the Pac-12 trying to get that media rights deal means they're not just sitting on their hands either. They're going to try, but those conferences are going to eat each other one way or the other. And so it just kind of depends on who's gonna be left out. But the Big 12's already made all these moves toward adding teams, obviously then the UCFs, the BYUs, the Cincinnatis. So I think just because of the timing of it, they're in a better position than the Pac-12 is, who is just going to be losing all these teams. And so I could see a situation where you end up with Cal and Stanford and Oregon State and Washington State left over to pick up UNLVs and Colorado States and Fresno States and Boise States to the new Pac-12, which would obviously at that point be without too much of a leader there as far as when you kind of get into the college football playoff discussion. So you could see them moving down, and maybe you'd have a Power 4 at that point. But in any case, it's all fascinating because we're kind of doing all this conference alignment and trying to figure this or that out, when really it's going to matter how much of a say do these conferences have at the college football playoff discussion, because you got to think, regardless of what the ACC even does, even if they stay still and don't do a thing and don't get picked apart, or this Big 12 Pac-12 merger conference, you just don't see them having too much power in the college football playoff discussions, because clearly the money is in the SEC and the Big 10's hands.
Yeah, and that's what it looks like in light of all these topics. I mean, one of the things that is emerging out there is what you just talked about, is what they're trying to call a big pack. And the one that ultimately you have BYU along with Utah that are going to be probably arguably the best college basketball conference that could possibly be out there. So some of them are looking to try to keep it from that standpoint, because if you talk about a big pack, that would be a dominant basketball conference, in competition with the ACC. The way that they can emerge is keep it, but do it in that manner to where they're focused on dominating in the basketball sphere, right? I think that's the only way they can survive. I don't think if they do go football, there's no way they can compete with the grandiose of the SEC and the Big Ten. So if you go with a big pack conference, you're looking at, in the West, you would probably be looking at an Arizona State, BYU, Cal, Colorado, who's kind of, don't know what they want to, do, so to speak, Oregon, Stanford, Utah, and in Washington in the West. And out of the Midwest in that big pack conference, you'd probably be looking at Baylor, Cincinnati, Houston, Kansas State, Oklahoma State, TCU, and Texas Tech, UCF. So they would be, I think, mediocre football teams, like they pretty much are right now for the most part. Sometimes, other than Utah, Oregon at times as of late, Oklahoma State as of late. on that other side. And then Baylor sometimes emerges, and then you obviously have what happened in Cincinnati last. But it would be tough to see it in any other way. I mean, the best thing about it right now, they would just dominate from an 18-team standpoint, to where the SEC's at 16 and the Big Ten's at 16. So, but we're still expecting more purges to happen on that side of the thing. And I think if the ACC is going to try to survive, they would have to take the same stance and do it from that standpoint. If I'm the ACC, I'm trying to work out some deal between the Big East. I doubt the Big East does it, because I think they're pretty comfortable, because they don't have to add football and all these other. They pretty much stay where they are, and they make the money that they make in that sphere. So yeah, I think that makes it tough, man. I still think the ACC is second behind the Pac-12 in trouble. I think probably the Big 12, if they're going to take over, I think if they purge 4 of those teams, they're going to be the next tier behind the Big 10 and the SEC. I just think the money, like you said, is not there. You're talking about half of the money right now that the Pac-12 is going to get. The ACC right now, even in their dominance in the basketball sphere right now, if an ACC team like, say, North Carolina, right, if they're to stay right now, the ACC, they would get where they got in the 2021 season of their academic year, they got $34 million, right?
Mm-hmm.
The SEC is projected to pay out $117 million per team.
Quite a difference.
Which is quite a difference. That's $61-something million in difference.
Then you add up the years in which that's happening. Yeah, that's this whole movement.
Yeah. And that's where the landscape is. It's big money right now. I just don't think that with the purging of UCLA, that market, that LA market, UCLA and USC, that the Pac-10 has the market space to garner a big money TV revenue deal. I just don't think it's there for them.
Yeah, and then Gene and Lincoln points out, if the ACC can keep Notre Dame, and he goes on, but Notre Dame is kind of so interesting out there. It's like the Big Ten's just waiting for it. Do you see a way in which Notre Dame says, screw it, we're staying independent?
I don't
think so.
I don't think they can. I think that time frame has passed. I don't think they're able to do that in this space. They haven't had the same dominance. They do have the backing, but I just don't think they're going to be able to garner the type of money that's out there for the SEC and the Big Ten right now.
When you think with the SEC and the Big Ten, like we said, they're going to be kind of moving forward into the college football playoff. The powers that be, they might not. The BCS was very kind to Notre Dame. However, they kind of were able to arrange that deal. They only needed 10 wins to make it to a BCS game, and to a New Year's Bowl, and that's just. They've kind of, with their independent status, been able to work away into getting into many of these playoffs as well. I think that, a little bit of strong arming from the Big Ten and the SEC, if Notre Dame does indeed stay independent, might do that. But then they could be another huge deal if the ACC could keep them. But that's kind of the next interesting thing, is if there is an expansion beyond 20, the logical step is for the SEC to poach the top 4 away from the ACC, and they would not be at least at this point would not be a national brand. They'd still be very southeastern, and into the South in Texas and Oklahoma, but it doesn't matter. The money
out of Indiana, competing out of Indiana into that southern sphere.
If you're Notre Dame's
trouble, bro. That's like us being in the Big 12 back then.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm just thinking, I just wonder at some point, where does this end, right? Because the problem with all of this is that you don't have a leader. It's not like you have the AFC and the NFC in this like kind of idea right here between the Big Ten and the SEC. It's not like the AFC and NFC are trying to outbid one another. And then, certain AFC teams said, well, we want to join the NFC because they have a better TV contract. College football needs a leader, and I don't know how you necessarily step up and do that, because the NCAA was somewhat supposed to be that, but never had the power in order to do that. And it looks like more and more like there's this split with the NCAA is coming up. But I think if you're college football, and at some point, I understand all the money grab and all of that, but at some point you've got to understand, for the stability of the sport, for people to still be connected to it. And a big part of college football is tradition and, the fan bases that they've gathered up over the years and all of that. You need a leader. They need a commissioner almost to step up, because I just don't see an end to it. At some point, what happens when the SEC and the Big Ten merges in, 15 years from now? Where does that leave everybody else? Then you just have one league, and you got to break it down in the conferences. And that's kind of the joke, is that maybe it will go full circle, and that, whoever's the leader or whatever this new thing is that takes over the NCAA decides, hey, it would save a lot of money if we just go regional and cut these teams from our league into these divisions. And then you'd be kind of right back where you started with. But I feel like that's obviously been missing for years under college football. Just about every college football analyst has said it. And I think that the kind of the COVID years, the dysfunction, the disarray that we've seen from the conference leaders in that space, and then, obviously into the NIL, where it's the wild, wild west, and there's nothing really, to put up the guardrails around it. I don't know how you do it. I think the SEC and the Big Ten almost have to get together at some point with this college football playoff, which I suppose could be whatever you have as far as a committee or commissioner there, could be the leader that college football is missing, because I just don't know if realignment ends at some point. I mean, I'm even thinking like relegation. What if you play in the Big Ten and, Illinois or somebody's just bad for like a decade, and then at the lower level or the next level, say the Big 12 is not invited to the same postseason as the SEC and the Big 12, but Iowa State keeps winning that over and over again. Would you not eventually say, okay, now Iowa, because that's the thing about these brands, is they change over the years based on wins and all these different things that go into it. At some point, maybe one of these schools, a Stanford or an Iowa State or something that's being left out right now, kind of builds up as a power, is the North Dakota State of, the FCS comparison to this next tier of college football. And then, I just don't know if it ends unless you kind of put some parameters around it and have a leader in charge.
Bach basically just laid down a gauntlet, and there's 2 questions for the Sauter Heyman text line. And if you want to call in as well on the Honda Lincoln hotline at 402-464-5685. So one of the questions is, which conference is doomed to be purged out of the running, basically just to be ate up by just all of the teams that are being just clipped off of them, right? Then what basically Bach is trying to say next is, absent a leader, absent to someone to basically relegate this, in those second tiers, obviously would be one of those conferences that headed the purge. If there's dominance amongst them, who would then be able to play themselves into the big conferences? And what tier would that be? Or who would have first option? Or you could have conference dominance gets first option to then kick out an SEC guy, shoot them over to the Big Ten. Big Ten shoots them down to that third tier, and then they get first right. So whoever conferences dominate gets first right to choose. I think that would be kind of dope. But then you have the right to kind of say, well, Indiana, you've been struggling a little bit.
Yeah.
But the problem is, what about their basketball? What if their basketball is good? What if their volleyball? You know what I mean? So
this
that's
is all
issue.
a football discussion.
This is all football discussions.
Because the other sports have just been they're whatever's
so
left
where do you
over.
send them?
Which is sad. And then the other thing is, with these, land grant deals or whatever, and then the television deals that are going to be, however many 5-10 years. I don't know if a relegation system would work where you could, kick a team out. That's what a lot of people are wondering, though. It's like, when does it come to, if the Big Ten and SEC are worth all this money, when does it come to a point where you look at kind of the small, the Vanderbilts and the, like you said, the Indianas and just the Northwestern, some of these schools, and go, well, maybe we could just kick them out and bring in the Atlanta or the Houston market or whatever other, if it's all about markets, there could be some cleaning up in these conferences where you think you've got it good right now if you're within one of them. And again, I think that would be very difficult to do. All of it is clouded in this just legal battle that's very difficult for any of us to understand, because we've been told before, oh, you can't do this. This is a complete roadblock. This won't happen. And then a legal battle ensues, and then they get through it. And so you don't know which legal battles or which way they're going to play out in the courts either.
And that's what he started. So to the listeners, Bach is basically talking about the league's grant of rights, basically out of the ACC. That was one of the things that happened once there was some breaking of some people from the ACC. I think even Maryland, when that Maryland situation happened, they were really like, hey, we're going to stop this from, continuously happen where other conferences are able to come in and purge our guys. So what it consists of, and a lot of people are really looking at the Clemson situation right now, also the Dukes and the obviously the Miamis, and they're looking at them and trying to, and then they were thinking about that when they added those teams to it. And it's basically stating that few schools have little flexibility in order to seek greener pastures out of the ACC. And the reason being is the conference has not only an exit fee, which is equivalent to 3 years of the league's operating budget. So they have to pay that first. And then that exceeds over $100 million. And in addition to that, any member that is changing conferences is bound to a grant of rights agreement, and they forfeit its media revenues to the ACC. Boy, so that's going to have trouble holding up in court all in itself, but it's possible. Maryland was obviously able to get out of it. And that doesn't expire with the ESPN contract that runs through 2035 and 36 school year. That's crazy. So right now, everybody in the ACC is held hostage in a sense. You've got the you're held in the doggone jailhouse, and it's tough to get out, and only ACC has a key. So we'll see how that plays out in litigation, but ultimately that's what Bach is talking about here on the block.
Yeah, and I also just, it's hard to see the end game for this again. Joel Klatt had a tweet that I thought was interesting. He said, it's incredibly hard to see right now in particular, but if you're a team outside of the SEC or Big Ten, but the long-term outlook for fans is a good one. We will look back on these times as moves that shaped a better postseason, more quality non-con games, and stronger governance. I hope that that's where we land, but it's so questionable right now. And I also just wonder about the future of non-con games. Of course, Nebraska has this matchup with Oklahoma coming into Lincoln, and somehow it's now the SEC against the Big Ten, but of course Oklahoma's still in the Big 12 this upcoming year. But you just kind of wonder, because they've got another matchup with the Sooners set down the line for 2029 and 2030. If you have super conferences, one thing is, do you still want, for like competitive balance, do you want non-con games? Just to kind of liven it up, and still, I think you still do.
I think you go down and kick the second or the third and fourth tier team. You go down there and whip a Stanford.
Well, also just for like competitive sake, you want to
know, beat up on TCU.
You want to like be able to compare the conferences too. But I don't know, but because you have 20 conference opponents, you're only playing 12 games. Why don't you play all your conference opponents, right? I mean, I
think they're going to expand games.
That could be out there as well. Yeah, it could get more.
I think you're gonna have more than 12 games.
But the big fear is that the SEC wants to might run their own playoff and just say screw everybody else.
That's a great point to stop, Bach.
Yeah,
because we're gonna come back and jump into that when we come back right here on the block. We're gonna tap into what your text line, how hot that was, but we're also gonna talk about what Bach just said, and that is the ACC is trying to set it off by providing their own league playoff system. We'll show you how that works when you come back on the block. 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. You can find us there when we come back after this.
This is your High School Minute.
With your Southeast Community College High School Minute, I'm Gus Cottle. Norris girls soccer midfielder and soon-to-be senior Reese Borer has committed to play college soccer for Nebraska. As a junior this past season, the midfielder scored 10 goals and passed for 11 assists while helping to lead the Titans to a state championship match. In the American Legion Baseball Senior Division, Nebraska City defeated Auburn 6-0. Hickman defeated PPA Prime 8-4. Clover, Wisconsin defeated Omaha Gross 9-3. Hickman beat Between the Lines 5-0. And Nebraska City defeated Syracuse 10-4. With 10 offers already, Danny Kalin's recruitment shows no sign of slowing down. The Bellevue West 2024 quarterback is one of the state's top prospects already for the class, with 10 offers. Kalin plans on making a decision in the winter. This has been your Southeast Community College High School Minute. Learn more today at southeast.edu with locations in Milford, Beatrice, and Lincoln.
Bagels and Joe is in full summer mode. They'll add cold foam to the top of any iced coffee. Plus, they now have a Joe Coffee Club. Get unlimited drip coffee for just $8.95 per month. And don't forget their delicious breakfast burritos and sandwiches. Bagels and Joe, 4 Lincoln locations.
Landmark Implement, your local John Deere dealership, is searching for mechanics of all skill levels to grow with us. Landmark offers a competitive wage, full benefits package, along with paid time off within just 60 days of employment, as well as a 401k and a boot and clothing allowance. Interested in becoming a part of the Landmark difference? Apply now at landmarkimp.com/careers or contact Deanna 402-310-7561 or email careers@landmarkimp.com. That's landmarkimp.com. Landmark Implement is an equal opportunity employer.
Empire Fence and Netting in Waverly is now hiring for several positions. They're looking for a fence installer for both commercial and residential, for local projects, and ones that require travel. They also have openings for operators, dirt work, welding positions, and applicants with CDLs are very desirable. If you're looking for a locally operated business that provides excellent work for customers and great benefits and care for its employees, email info@empire-fence.com or give them a call at 402-682-7658. Empire Fence and Netting.
Sandhills Global is hiring. Check out sandhills.jobs for more information. Sandhills is looking to fill hundreds of new openings in sales, traveling support, software development, web design, and more. Sandhills has a professional culture and is fast-paced with a focus on growth, innovation, and leading-edge technologies. Career and internship opportunities are available at our global headquarters in Lincoln, Nebraska. Apply today at sandhills.jobs.
Work, laundry, dishes. I was exhausted. I needed a vacation, but finding a way to pay for it, not so easy. Then I found it, a research study at Solarion. I searched the studies and found a perfect match for me. It was so easy. I earned cash for the study and booked that vacation. Plus, I made an impact on medical research. Find a study and sign up today at helpresearch.com.
You should consider the risks of the research before you agree to participate.
At first, I was really nervous and intimidated to buy a ring. I wasn't sure what I was getting into.
My experience at Starter Heyman was very easy. I felt like I walked out of Starter Heyman with the ring that was going to make her go wow and say yes.
I love my ring. It is so beautiful.
I absolutely love my ring. I get compliments on it all the time. I always tell them Starter Heyman.
Yeah, we would definitely recommend Starter Heyman.
Yeah, it was great.
We're definitely coming back in the future.
Sutter Heyman Jewelers, Lincoln and Grand Island. SutterHeyman.com.
In your busy life, very little is free, but your next home might be a bit less than you think with a free appraisal from Security First Bank. Free home appraisals from Security First Bank. We're the bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender. Offer valid through December 31st, 2022 on secondary market new home purchase loans only. One free appraisal per transaction. Appraisals paid for by lender at closing. Subject to lender qualifications. See lender for details. NMLS number 505011.
Early break with Sip and Jake.
Gus brought up an interesting topic during Song of the Day about 2000s dad rock. We were trying to find some bands because he said Three Doors Down reminds him of like dad rock from 2000s. Okay, Pork Chop says Papa Roach. That's dad rock. Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, that's divorced dad rock.
Yeah. Buck Cherry, also divorced dad rock.
That's divorced dad rock with a younger went to a younger model.
Early break with Sip and Jake from 6 to 8 every weekday morning.
Victor deployed for the first time to Afghanistan in 2003. At 4 a.m, my phone rang. They said, "I regret to inform you that your husband was wounded in action." Victor sustained a moderate traumatic brain injury. I was doing school full time, and I was also then caring for Victor. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself. I just didn't want to forget that I also had goals and that I also had a life. What I did is I challenged Victor to meet me halfway. There are almost 6 million military and veteran caregivers across the nation. We have our own journey, and we can fulfill that journey at the same time that we are helping our loved one.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey and better care for your loved one and yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Back to On the Block with Strick and Bach on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
On the block. We tipping on fofos. That's how we doing it on the block right now. We just started it off. Is there anything? Nate Doggy Dog, you joined us on. Yes, sir.
That? I'm good for something. I'm good for producing around here.
You like
this? You like this intro?
I like this.
Can you tell us what tipping on fofos mean?
I have no idea.
I don't know that either.
But yes, on the block, we tipping on fofos right here at 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. Hey, but anyway, we started off this last segment as we approached it talking about the potential of an SEC league playoff system where they're going to have a playoff system to determine who the champion is. And there's multiple facets to it. There's so many things you can delve into and get into about that. It's still some clarity needs to be, laid out, some groundwork, but there's something that I can give you a piece or a tidbit about and what it would look like. I mean, obviously a 1 through 8 structure, you would know what that is, but there's some ways we can discuss some of the parameters around it and what it would look like. We'd also love to hear from you on the Sutter Heyman text line, 402-464-5685. Nate Dogg, thoughts. I want to hear your thoughts about a potential SEC league playoff, what that would look like. Why would it make sense? And do you think it's something that should be done?
Well, the SEC has flirted with this a couple times. I know during COVID is when they really talked about having their own playoff and kind of breaking apart from the NCAA. If there was a conference that could do it, it would be the SEC. The thing is, though, I think the SEC would essentially just be a catalyst if this would happen. Because if you think about it, the college football playoff and New Year's Six Bowls have nothing to do with the NCAA. Like college football, and me and Bach have talked about this on the water cooler. They don't need the NCAA. Some of these other smaller programs do, and some of these other smaller sports do. But when it comes to Power 5 football, if you branched off and did your own thing, every other program would follow you. So I think if the SEC did this, they would know that other conferences would follow. I don't think it would work out with only, what do they have now, 14 teams. I just don't think that's enough teams to make that move. It became 2 super conferences. Yeah, that would be the time to make that move. But if they did it, they would have to know that other conferences are going to follow. They'd have to.
Well, and just the hope is that they would agree to work with them because the SEC has an arrogance about them, has an ego, and has proof on the field over the last 20 years or so that they're winning all these games. So if they go conference only and they determine their own champion and say, forget the Big Ten, forget all these other leagues out there, it would be incredibly frustrating as a fan, but you'd almost have to lean in toward them because then, the Big Ten, all these other places would do it as well. And then you would just be left with all these champions of what used to be college football. I mean, that's why I say there needs to be a leader, because what I fear is the SEC or maybe even the Big Ten, but one of these super conferences just getting such a big of an ego, and certainly it's the SEC at this point because they're on-field success.
It is.
If they just break off and do their own thing, there'd be entertaining games and stuff like that, but it would just, you would just be stuck into thinking that they are, you wouldn't know who the ultimate champion is, but it'd be the SEC champion and then the rest of the team's champion. And if they didn't come together, it'd just be so frustrating. And that's what I fear more than anything, is that college football breaks off competitively into these different groups. I don't mind so much like an understanding that if the Pac-12 falls back to what the Mountain West is now, then so be it. I mean, that's not a huge fear. My fear is you have two competing, should be on the same platform type of conferences, and their ego or their unwillingness to come together on a deal that makes money for both of them. They keep bidding at each other, that you break off and you have 2 different champions and you're just in a complete mess.
So right now, the way that the landscape of the SEC sits that the football champion puts his top 2 teams, the East and the West, in their divisions on the same field for the conference championship. That's how it exists right now. But the playoff situation, the league would basically stage 4 postseason games over an entire month of December. And that goes back to, is there a limitation on games? Do you add additional games in order to make that fit? Or do you eliminate non-cons if you have two? So those things are going to exist there. So the top half of the conference, which would consist of 1 through 8 would play, 2 through 7. Obviously, we understand the scale. 3 through 6, 4 and 5 would play and continue on. The final winner of that process would then play against, this is what we're talking about now. Do you create an alliance? Is there, if the, like you're saying, if there's a following of the Big Ten, the second tier conference, does that mean that whoever wins that going to be the national championship, being that they're the big ones? Or do you have like another partial where you throw in the second tiers, give them a shot, put them in the lower brackets, and allow them to at least punch up to see if they can get in? So then you take the 1 and 2 of the SEC, the 1 and 2 of the Big Ten, put them in opposite brackets, and then put the lower tiers of the Pac-12 or the ACC, and maybe somebody that punches his way in from one of them garbage. I'm sorry, I'm not saying that. Forgive me, I'm not saying
lower
that,
level,
but one of them lower levels.
Yeah.
But and then fight it out from there.
But that kind of defeats the purpose, though, because the SEC, what they're saying here is they would have a playoff by themselves.
Well,
so that would be where the alliance comes in. But then it's interesting because Kirk makes a good point. The SEC remembers when the Big Ten released a schedule, canceled football, said they would not discuss it, and then came back to play. They don't trust the Big Ten. That's a good point. If I'm the SEC, after that nonsense that happened with COVID, because the SEC were the ones that wanted to play. They steered the ship. The ACC came with them. I believe it was the Big 12, and then the Pac-12 eventually trickled in. The Big 10 was the last.
Yeah, they played like a month after.
And the Big 10, too, had their own set of rules. They had
Mm-hmm.
Ohio State only ended up playing 5 games when the playoff. That's a good point. After what happened with COVID, and like the thing is, if the Big 10 just went the whole season, didn't play, that's one thing. But this back and forth that they didn't do themselves any favor. So if I'm the SEC, I wouldn't trust it either, because what they care about at the end of the day is money.
That's what it comes down to.
All they care about.
And the SEC wants it all. They're going to use that system. If they're going to implement that system's going to be designed to take all the money and then hold it to themselves, and then maybe do an alliance and say, we're going to bust your head open in the Alliance Championship game, or something like that, and make more money. You know what I'm saying? So that's the only way I can see it. But you're right. There's just so many uncertainties out there. What do you think, Bob?
Well, that's why I keep calling for somebody to be a leader. And I don't know how you get there. I don't know if like everybody gets together and just votes for one, but I think it's pretty obvious at this point in time that you need a commissioner. You need somebody with the kind of thinking forward and past just this conference getting all that at once versus that conference. The college football needs to come together, needs to, if we want any semblance of what it is, you need somebody to bring it together, because otherwise you're going to keep trying to eat up each other's conferences, right? Like that's why I just don't understand. Like, yeah, I understand you could have these super conferences in the Big Ten and the SEC, but at what point is the SEC just going to say, okay, well, let's just, 5 years down the line, try to get Ohio State and USC from the Big Ten, break them down, take their small amount, and then eventually it just could come down to the semi-pro league.
Purge.
28 teams, 30 teams, all in the SEC.
Purge.
Yeah. And in college football, it's just there's too much money in facilities and so many opportunities, all this stuff nationwide that we're going to see go away if somebody doesn't grab that leadership role and say, SEC, Big Ten, you guys got to be friends. And if we're going to do 4 major conferences, then bring in the Big Pac and the ACC, and let's make something fair for everybody. And so that's why, like the NFL, you don't have the AFC East competing against the NFC North to get more money for TV rights. You need somebody to step in as college football, say, here's the college football deal for TV rights.
Well, that's the problem too, is that it's not an even playing field. When there's a reason the Pac-12 dissolved and the SEC is so powerful. the SEC has all the money and the fan base. No one cares about football on the West Coast.
Right.
So ultimately, that's not going to change. The problem is the NFL, everyone has the same salary cap. They're under the same set of rules. They're under the same set of bylaws, whatever you want to have it. It's a different world out in the SEC. Like, you are playing, even the Big Ten now, if they do have this upwards of $2 billion deal, that's not the same deal that the ACC signed, 2 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
It's not an even playing field, and it's
No.
never going to be. So until you get that regulation, I don't know what you're going to do. And the problem with that is that the SEC will always have the upper hand. You can have this regulation all you want, but if the SEC wanted to break off tomorrow, they're the ones with all the
They'll
money.
be fine.
You have to chase them.
Well, and the
And
problem
that's why
is-
they become too powerful.
Especially if the Big Ten gets Notre Dame. The Big Ten can play in the pocketbook with the SEC. Their
Right.
money, I mean, that's why you're thinking 2 super conferences, because the Big Ten's right there with the SEC
Right.
in that category. The problem is on the field.
Mm-hmm.
The Big Ten has not competed on the field with the SEC, and we can talk. Nate, I know you like to talk about the depth of the conferences, but when I'm talking about championships,
Championships, I'll
and
give you
winning
SEC.
football,
Yeah.
it's all been Southeastern football, whether in the SEC or Florida State or Clemson. Over the from there too, Texas, Oklahoma, SEC grabbed them now. So when you look over the last 25 years, Ohio State, I think, stands alone as a team outside of the SEC.
Well, now USC,
USC,
if
the
you
other
want,
one,
if you want to claim
right?
that.
USC would be the other one for the mid 2000s, but from that SEC footprint. So that's why I see, I think the Big Ten can continue to play money ball with the SEC because they've just got so many brands and so much of a
The
care
coast to
factor.
coast, the coast to coast conference too.
Yeah,
makes
that's
that
going to
possible.
help too. It's just on the field. If the SEC refuses to come together and have a playoff eventually with the Big Ten, I'm sorry, I hate to say it, but I'd lean toward the SEC champion be the Big Ten, and then we just go back to having 2 different, I shouldn't say back to, but having 2 different champions at least, and never coming to a conclusion, which would be a very frustrating end to all this. So I don't care really what happens as long as the playoff continues, at least as it is, to have these conferences come together in the end, because I'd hate to see separate champions.
Well, you have an well here let's just make it simplified, because right now it's very complicated, and rightfully so. But let's see if we simplify before we go to break. Right now, outside, because you said the bylaws, all of the things, the structure of the NFL provides that there's salary caps, there's
Right.
Make some equity or equality within that structure. I think Box said something that's pretty interesting, because right now the NFL has AFC structure, NFC structure, 2 power conferences. If you want to go that route, with the ability, everybody has a 3-year in, where after 3 years you get to basically say these 4 teams on the bottom tier are on the verge of getting knocked out the conference. Who's next
Right.
up? You know what I'm saying, to get in.
Now that'd be entertaining.
You
I
know
just
what I'm
don't know if
saying?
everybody's going to agree to that.
That's the thing, you have to agree, because right now you're dealing with 60 teams in the Power 5. You can't have 2 conferences of 30.
Yeah,
it's impossible.
It's
It is legitimately impossible to have 2 conferences of 30, and there's a reason the NFL doesn't do that. And I'm worried that we've reached the point now, and I think COVID did this that not everyone was in agreement when COVID happened. You had the SEC with half-packed stadiums playing an entire season, and you had the Big Ten playing 4, 5, 6 games with no fans in the stands, and that created a division. And now you've reached the point that the SEC has become so powerful, you always have to play catch up to them. Like, if you want to make money, you have to go to the SEC. If you're talking about the overall alliance of college football, the SEC is going to run it. So you have to have them.
So that's why I'm saying, if you're going to go with that, then you're going to have an AFC, NFC type structure.
You have
finish
to.
it off.
You have to.
Each one has their playoff, and then at the end, who's the best man win. That's the way I see it. I don't know what else to say, because it is complicated. There's a lot of details that aren't necessarily tightened up, that we can't tighten up here because we don't have the power. But we're on the block and we're talking about it. 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. We'll come back and finish off things at the 5:45 part hour. We're probably already late, but we'll be back.
There's nothing quite like the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese beef. The Mercado offers unique ingredients you can't find anywhere else, open every day from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The full-service butcher shop and retail store is wonderful for meat lovers with their exclusive certified Piedmontese beef and assorted sausages, plus other quality meats, including pork, chicken, and a wide range of the freshest seafood. Plus, every Friday from 11 to 2, the Mercado serves up the best lunch in town on their Friday Feast menu. Stop in at the Mercado today at 84th and Havelock or visit their website at cpmercado.com to see current deals.
Work, laundry, dishes. I was exhausted. I needed a vacation, but finding a way to pay for it, not so easy. Then I found it. A research study at Solarion. I searched the studies and found a perfect match for me. It was so easy. I earned cash for the study and booked that vacation. Plus, I made an impact on medical research. Find a study and sign up today at healthresearch.com.
You should consider the risks of the research before you agree to participate.
Yesterday, your water heater worked just fine. Today, surprise! When you're out of hot water, just call the plumbers at Bryant. In most cases, you can get same-day water heater replacement. What you won't get is a costly surprise with the bill. At Bryant, the price you're quoted is the price you'll pay. No last-minute extras for piping or ventilation alterations. Need a new water heater? Just call Bryant, 467-1111. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. We do whatever it takes.
In your busy life, very little is free, but your next home might be a bit less than you think with a free appraisal from Security First Bank. Free home appraisals from Security First Bank. We're the bank. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender. Offer valid through December 31st, 2022 on secondary market new home purchase loans only. One free appraisal per transaction. Appraisals paid for by lender at closing. Subject to lender qualifications. See lender for details. NMLS number 505011.
Bagels and Joe is in full summer mode. They'll add cold foam to the top of any iced coffee. Plus, they now have a Joe Coffee Club. Get unlimited drip coffee for just $8.95 per month. And don't forget their delicious breakfast burritos and sandwiches. Bagels and Joe, 4 Lincoln locations.
Empire Fence and Netting in Waverly is now hiring for several positions. They're looking for a fence installer for both commercial and residential, for local projects, and ones that require travel. They also have openings for operators, dirt work, welding positions, and applicants with CDLs are very desirable. If you're looking for a locally operated business that provides excellent work for customers and great benefits and care for its employees, email info@empire-fence.com or give them a call at 402-682-7658. Empire Fence and Netting.
93.7 The Ticket. Fox KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
A few showers and thunderstorms this morning, then becoming hot. A heat advisory will be in effect this afternoon as well as tomorrow afternoon. We'll top out in your 96. It'll feel closer to 100 today. Southwest winds at around 15. A few passing clouds tonight with a low of 75. A high of 98 tomorrow with a chance of late evening thunderstorms. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and it's been a great start here to the year as 2022 new inventory continues to roll in. Our pre-owned lot remains full, and we are selling at a record pace. I was just down at Koppel talking about a new order for myself, and they let me know I could actually start ordering a 2023 here later this spring. So stop on in to get your new 2022, your pre-owned vehicle, or maybe talk about ordering here for 2023. Check them out online at koppelcars.com. You'll be glad you did.
At first, I was really nervous and intimidated to buy a ring. I wasn't sure what I was getting into.
My experience at Starter Heyman was very easy. I felt like I walked out of Starter Heyman with the ring that was going to make her go wow and say yes.
I love my ring. It is so beautiful. I absolutely love my ring. I get compliments on it all the time. I always tell them Starter Heyman. Yeah, we would definitely recommend Starter Heyman.
Yeah, it was great.
We're definitely coming back. Sure.
Sutter Heyman Jewelers, Lincoln and Grand Island. SutterHeyman.com.
Victor deployed for the first time to Afghanistan in 2003. At 4 a.m, my phone rang. They said, "I regret to inform you that your husband was wounded in action." Victor sustained a moderate traumatic brain injury. I was doing school full-time, and I was also then caring for Victor. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself. I just didn't want to forget that I also had goals and that I also had a life. What I did is I challenged Victor to meet me halfway. There are almost 6 million military and veteran caregivers across the nation. We have our own journey, and we can fulfill that journey at the same time that we are helping our loved one.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey and better care for your loved one and yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Back to On the Block with Strick and Bach on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Wrapping things up here on a Nate Dogg Tuesday.
Heyo.
On the Block. We do have a sighting of Bill Moose, actually. He was in an article written by John Canzano, kind of talking about the Pac-12. Here's what he had his thoughts on USC and UCLA entering the Big Ten. He said he talked with Moose this morning on the phone, and Moose had some strong thoughts about USC and UCLA entering the Big Ten. He doesn't think they'll enjoy early success. Moose said it ain't going to be an easy road for USC and UCLA. At Nebraska, we took teams in Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State. Let's just say there aren't going to be any 10-2 seasons. Do you agree with Bill Moose? I think part of what he's saying is that the Big Ten's not going to do you any favors as far as scheduling. They're going to try to if you had Nebraska, a brand name like that, or if you had UCLA or USC, you don't wait, until 6 years down the line till this is when they naturally would meet up with Ohio State. No, you put them up against Ohio State and you get those ratings grab, you get that money. So I think that's part of what he's saying. But do you guys agree with him, or do you think he's got a different view of it, considering he played he was at Nebraska just during a down period?
I'm going to let Nate tap in, but I'm going to say this. You better get your NIL bag up if you want to compete in this space, because otherwise you are going to fall victim to the SEC, and Ohio State's going to be Ohio State. You better get your bag up if you want.
You have to. And what I'm curious too, that I wanted to mention in the earlier segment, just real quick, is if the SEC becomes this dominant, conference, does their own thing, how does that impact recruiting? Do the top recruits only go to the SEC? Because that's the only place you can play a national championship. That's where NIL comes into factor too. Is like the only thing you would be able to tell these kids is you can't play for a national championship if the SEC does this, but we have more money.
Well, you would.
That's where it'd get fascinating.
Wouldn't just.
They wouldn't be able to do that. The Big Ten's going to be able to. Go ahead.
Well, you wouldn't just say that the SEC's championship counts more than yours if you're the Big Ten, because you'd still have your own championship. And likely you'd probably, gather up all the other conferences and play with them because you wouldn't fear them.
Mm-hmm.
So, you might be able to have more of an argument that your championship is, the wholesome championship or whatever. But it would be hard to convince a lot of people. So, I'm not saying from the Big Ten standpoint, they wouldn't just say, yeah, our championship doesn't count as much. We would just kind of know. I think a lot of people would know or figure that it doesn't mean as much because the SEC's been so dominant on the field.
Ultimately, I'm just going to throw it out. Sutter Heyman text line may get hot after we leave on the block, but how many teams ultimately do you think each of the conferences will end up with at the end of the day?
By what year?
402-464-5685. I'm saying by 2024.
I think 20 seems to be the
20
goal.
Each?
Yeah.
Ooh, I would say 16.
Well, they're at 16 now.
Yeah, I don't think
there's any more additions.
No.
I think at least minimum 18.
18. So you think they had 2 more each? I think they might be maxed out for now. If you ask me by 2030, then I'd be on the same page. But by 2024, I think they're maxed out now at 16. I don't think they poach anyone from the Big Ten. All right, excuse me, the ACC. And it looks like the Big 12 and Pac-12 are kind of together now, so you're not gonna, you're not going to be getting Oregon, which is I know what they wanted to do. The only one that could blow all this up is Notre Dame. Notre Dame could blow all this up really quick.
I think they will too.
If Notre Dame decides tomorrow they're going to the Big Ten, watch it will become the
then
Wild
it's a
West.
race. Then
it
it's
will
a race
become
to
the
20,
Wild West.
The race to 20?
Then I will say 25 each.
Dang!
And I'm saying it is everything blows up and falls apart. 25 each. 30. Why not?
My gosh.
I've been saying for years I think it's headed toward a 2 major conferences similar to the NFL, NBA, all these systems that have 2 major conferences. That's just sad to watch it happen.
It is
because it's taken away from what we knew and loved. But it's all right. I guess Joel Klatt at least has some hope that it's going to be better.
Purge
down the line. I don't know if that's the case. But I know On the Block will continue to get better because we work hard every day to make it even better, and just because sports storylines never die. We'll have more to talk about tomorrow as well. That'll wrap it up for On the Block today. You guys have a good evening. We're going to have ticket weeknights coming up next, so don't go anywhere. But have a good evening. We'll talk to you tomorrow.